Back in the 80s and 90s, game shows were everywhere. And of course, there were kids' game shows specifically. Except, kids' game shows in the 80s and 90s could be brutally difficult. Today I want to talk about what I consider to be the 4 hardest kids' game show bonus rounds from the 80s and 90s. Let's check it out. Number 4 is Nick Arcade. Nick Arcade was the first kids' TV show with a focus on video games, and in fact was the first show in the US to regularly intermix live action with animation using a blue screen. All of the toss-up games were video games were custom developed for the show. The main body of the show was about, in my estimation, about a third video game stuff and about 2/3 trivia questions. It was more dull than maybe you'd expect for a show about video games. There was a lot of very slow action. The bonus round, though, was quite difficult. It was a live action video game with 3 levels, and contestants would have to go inside the video game, which was basically backstage watching themselves on a monitor. Players could be damaged if they touched a hazard or an enemy character, which of course they could only tell if they were watching the monitor. But when you're doing things like climbing ladders, running up staircases, opening trapdoors, it's hard to see yourself in the monitor when you're looking the other direction. If a player loses all of their power, which is health, you'd have to start the stage over, repeat the objectives, and then keep going until you're successful. Each level also would contain a power-up that would appear periodically that when you would touch would give the player an added advantage. You know, it would render enemies harmless for 5 seconds or destroy all on-screen enemies, restore your power meter, things like that. The team only had 60 seconds to clear all 3 levels. Each item that they touched won the team $50 to split, and each level won them a prize of increasing value. And if you successfully beat the main boss, which was the game wizard in the final level, you won the grand prize, which was usually some kind of vacation, maybe a trip to space camp. The difficulty level is that the contestants had a tough time understanding where they were in the stage because of the monitor setup, and they often ran directly into enemies at full speed because they couldn't see where they were going. And some contestants didn't understand the objective of the room they were in at all. There were several episodes where kids clearly were just flailing around, not understanding that they were supposed to be in a video game and never looked at the monitor. So let's take a look at one bonus round from this show.
Guys. All right, hey, you're going through that door, go in there and hurt Mungo's feelings. Go get him. Yeah. We have the 3 bananas to get. Then, of course, will be the 3 gems. I feel good about this. Let's see what's going to happen. Ready, set, go, Calvin, go. All right. He's got the first bunch there. Toucan took 1 power unit away. And the monkey got him on the side, took another power unit. Ooh, there's another one in the head. 2 power units, but he's got it. All right, go! All right, Katie is off. She ducks below the vultures. Good. Stand low from the flies. 40 seconds. There's 1 gem. She's got 1. Ooh, 1 power unit gone by the vulture. Alligator sipped her again. She's staying low. She's at 31 seconds. She's got 2 of them. She's down to 29 seconds. All right, she's got all of her power back. The rat took a little bit, but there's the 3rd one. She's got it. 23 seconds left there. Going to battle the wizard. We're at 20 seconds. That's 1 orb. Ooh, Mongo is zapping all the power. All right, you have to restart. Restart is done. All right, you have to get the first orb. 10 seconds. That's 1 orb. That's 2 orb. That's 1 orb. Ooh, being zapped. 2 orbs. Run, 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 run. They did it. Woo! Yes, they got the sing.
You know, this is wild to watch back. First of all, they do a pretty good job. Like, they integrate the game itself pretty seamlessly, all things considered. It's kind of interesting to watch. I mean, obviously, some of the levels you can kind of see the strings being pulled perhaps a little more than others, like that weird surfing desert level or whatever, where you could see her kind of having a hard time placing herself in the frame, but she got to stay still and things came at her, which made it a little easier. And then in that last level, it felt a little bit like both kids were kind of, you know, having a hard time maybe figuring out where they were in the space. Again, you can see where the difficulty lies. This is not necessarily a difficult thing conceptually. If you're playing this as a video game, it would be pretty straightforward. The difficulty is really in the layout and the way that they've overlaid the video game over the space that they're in, and they're trying to figure out how to touch the orb. I'm going to back it up a little bit here. Like you can see here, the kid is having a hard time locating the orb in the space before he finally climbs over and gets it. You know, it's tough to see. You're staring at yourself off screen. You can see both kids are looking left and right. And of course, we're looking at them straight on. So you can see why the difficulty level is pretty high on this, I think. All right. Let's move on to number 3, which is Double Dare, which originally ran from 86 to 93, and then it was revived in 2000, and then re-revived in 2018 and 2019. It's the kids game show that will not die. If you haven't seen Double Dare, you may have been living under a rock for a while. It's the gold standard kids game show from the 80s and into the 90s. It's a trivia show with physical challenges. As the show continued throughout its run, it got messier generally. There were some obstacles in the early seasons that were, I think, disgusting, but they were disgusting in sort of a contained way. But as the show went along, it got messier. New messier spin-offs like Super Sloppy Double Dare were created. And then Family Double Dare was another spin-off, which involved a family of 4, which was 2 parents, 2 kids competing. And it followed the same sort of sloppy level of Super Sloppy Double Dare. But the final round, if you win the main game, is the Double Dare obstacle course. It was a series of 8 obstacles. Contestants would have to complete an obstacle, grab a flag, pass it to their partner or teammate, and then continue to the next obstacle. Each obstacle cleared would win the contestants a prize. They would generally increase in value as the obstacle course would go along, or perceived value. Coolness factor might go up instead of dollar value. Some of the really iconic obstacles include the Sundae slide, which is where kids climbed up a ramp with a sundae, like chocolate sauce or some other kind of slippery substance on the ramp. And they'd reach a platform, come down a slide, fall into a bunch of goop, then grab the flag and pass it. Another one was the 1-ton human hamster wheel, which was a giant human-sized hamster wheel. Contestants would rotate it by running inside the wheel, and then a boxing glove would come down with the flag on it, and the partner would grab the flag and continue on. Another one was Picket. There's a big, giant, oversized nose filled with snot and boogers, which are actually some kind of weird substance that they created. It's probably like Nickelodeon slime or gack. And the contestants would reach up the nostrils to try to find the flag in the nose. So those are kinds of the ideas here, right? It's complete some kind of task, and then you can move on to the next thing. In the earlier seasons, the difficulty was much higher, the non-family seasons, because there were only 2 players. So each player would have to complete 4 obstacles. And often they would get messier and messier and messier as the obstacle course would go along. And as you get increasingly covered in goop, it's tougher to complete subsequent obstacles, even the easier ones. So obstacle order was very important as a factor in success on an obstacle course run. If a player got really messy early on, they would super struggle later. There's a ton of episodes where kids just get slopped up and they can't do basic obstacles because they're just so covered in goop, they cannot physically do the thing they're supposed to do. So let's check out an obstacle course run.
Why don't you take your place inside the 1-ton human hamster wheel? Audience, cheer them on. On your mark. Get set. Go, Jay! Come on, baby! Keep walking around there. You're doing a great job. You can stop right there. Here comes the boxing glove. Over there in the Picket. You get Picket. Go ahead, get under there. Go ahead. You got to get it. Go ahead. They lost a little time there. They lost their concentration on the exchange. Over to the Sundae slide. Okay, you have to wait over there. Down to 44 seconds. He's doing a great job. They picked up time on that one. Sundae slide is really slippery today. Oh, that was a great exchange over here into the breakfast canal. And Jay, you come over here and wait for it. There it is. You have to go underneath. And Jay is moving over to the tank with 30 seconds left. I think they can do it, folks. Let's hope so. There it is. You get into Dallas. This is where it gets difficult. It's very slippery and very slimy. If she remembers to stand up when she comes out, I think she's going to accomplish it down to 19 seconds. Okay, let's see. Grab it, grab it. Okay, you find it in the pizza now. It's in the pizza somewhere. There it is. Okay, they are down to 12 seconds. Hopefully they can do it. Get in there, lift it up and get down there. They are down to 8 seconds. Stand up and get it. Get it. Nice job. Congratulations. Harvey, what have they won?
Got the word, where's the metal detector, the bikes,
I mean, there you go. You can kind of see, I mean, first of all, I love an obstacle course that just leads with all the iconic obstacles I just mentioned. But I honestly did not know that they were in the same order. But you can see, like, the obstacles are messy. They get messier as you go throughout this particular obstacle course run. But often when they would film Double Dare, they would basically set up the obstacle course for multiple episodes, and they would run the obstacles in one direction for one day of shooting, and then they would just reverse the order. So you would go the other way on the same courses. So the first obstacle in this might be the last obstacle in the next episode. And so you can imagine if you're starting with the down the hatch obstacle where you go down the digestive tract when they open the jaw and you slide down, you're covered in that gack for the whole obstacle course run, and it just makes everything more difficult. Anyway, enough Double Dare. Let's move on to number 2, which is Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Ran for 5 seasons from 1991 to 1995, and it was a geography-based trivia show on PBS, which is a departure from the other shows on this list, which so far, and I think for the whole list, is all Nickelodeon shows. The contestants that they considered were between 8 and 13 years old, and they were selected from New York City public schools. It was mostly remembered for its eponymous and extremely catchy theme song, a 90s earworm staple, recorded by the a cappella house band Rockapella. They also supplied sound effects and other musical performances and stabs throughout the show. This is a little taste of what that song sounded like.
Where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego?
All right, you get the idea. Contestants were kids that were supposedly detectives for the Acme Detective Agency. They were called gumshoes. They were rookie detectives. They'd have to correctly answer geography trivia questions in order to help chase down one of the cartoon criminals in the syndicate Vile, the Villains International League of Evil, which was Carmen Sandiego's gang of crooks. The top 2 contestants from the main trivia round would advance to the second round, which was more of a basic memory game. You'd have to locate 3 items from a rotating board in order: the loot, the warrant, and then the crook. The first contestant to find all 3 in the right order would then advance to the final round. The final round, which is the bonus round on this show, was really tough. And looking back on it, I cannot believe how difficult they made this show. Contestants would have to track Carmen Sandiego on an oversized floor map. They would have to identify locations. They had these big police beacons that they would put down on specific spots on the map. In season 1, players had to find 7 locations in 45 seconds. And apparently they found that too easy, because starting in season 2, they had to find 8 locations in 45 seconds. Each contestant that got to this round had 2 shots at locating a city or a country or a body of water, depending on what was being asked of them, before they would have to abandon the beacon and move on to the next location. If you found all the locations within the 45 seconds, you won a trip to anywhere in North America, which, as Greg Lee would say, and that is not bad, ladies and gentlemen. Why was this so tough? As you will see, locating places on a giant map in front of an audience of screaming kids is really tough. The map is upside down relative to your perspective, right? Like normally we look at a map and we're looking at it, the top is north, the bottom is south, but they start the kids at the north end of the map and they run in a south direction. So anything at the top is closest to you. There's the northern end of the continent, and as you moved south, it was farther away, and east-west was also backwards, so it could very easily screw up a kid's perspective on a continent. Also, not all the continents were the same size. South America's map was way smaller than, say, Asia's map. And some continents are also just like way more widely known geographically than others. You know, Africa had a much lower success rate than North America. And in the first 2 seasons, instead of North America, they used the United States as a map. So like if you got a US map, you probably had a way higher chance at success as opposed to a continent perhaps you didn't know as well. After the first season especially, the world changed pretty dramatically due to global geopolitical turmoil. There were new countries being formed. There was the downfall of the Soviet Union, the breaking up of Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia. And that meant that kids needed to be up on the current countries, not just the ones that they might have learned about maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years earlier. So you end up in this very crazy difficult geography bonus round, and it's a shuttle run as well as a geography quiz. This is a tough bonus round. Let's go take a look at one of them.
Come on, Miguel, let's do this thing. Do it your own way. Make a lot of noise, audience. Let's get 45 seconds up on the clock. Good luck, Miguel. Here we go. On your mark. Get set. Go. Carmen from the Ethiopia. Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Try it again. Yes. Burkina Faso. Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. Try it again. Come on back. Chad. Idjamena, Chad. Yes, let's go. Ghana. Accra, Ghana. Try it again. Ghana. Let's go. South Africa. You know this one. Let's go. Come on, buddy. You got it. This guy is fast. Yeah, let's go. Zaire. Tawanga, Zaire. Let's go. Nice move, Morocco. Tante, Morocco. You got it. Let's go. Senegal. Senegal. Dakar, Senegal. Yeah. Try it again. Try it again. Try it again. Okay, go. Leave it there. Oh. How many did we get? 5 and 45 seconds, but you are fast, my friend. Give it up for Miguel, ladies and gentlemen.
This is really hard. And I don't know very many people who, as adults in the year 2025, could get more than maybe 2 on a map of Africa right now. This is so hard. And the fact that there's a physical element in that you're running back and forth as much as there is a trivia element really adds to the difficulty here. Plus, it doesn't help that you've got a bunch of kids right behind you screaming the whole time while a guy kind of chases you all over a giant floor map and yells, you know, names of cities and countries at you. This is so hard. And the thing is, too, if you don't get the trip to anywhere in North America, it's not like you get $100 for every location you guess right. You either win the trip or you win a consolation prize package. I think you get like a portable TV or something, like a little mini TV, which back in the 90s is very cool, but it's still like perhaps not worthy of, you made it this far in this impossible game show and failed to identify all 8 countries in Africa in 45 seconds while physically running at top speed. It's just a tough bonus round. All right. I know I promised 4 bonus rounds. This next one's an honorable mention. I have to bring it up, even though it is not one of the top 5. So here it is, the honorable mention. Nickelodeon Guts. This was a kids sports and athletics competition series set in the extreme arena, often with kids attached to bungee cords or vertical riggings to make versions of sports more extreme or supposedly more futuristic. There isn't a bonus round on this show, but I have to mention it because it's so tough. The final round is a basically free mountain climb up an artificial mountain. I think it was 28 feet tall when it was first built. It got moved up to 30 feet and renamed the Mega Crag in season 3. It was originally the Aggro Crag. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. In season 4, the show rebranded as Global Guts and became more of an international competition, and the mountain again got renamed to the Super Aggro Crag. In the final round of this show, all 3 of the contestants would race to the top of the mountain simultaneously. They had designed it so that each third of the mountain, from a camera perspective, was identical to one another. And so there were also actuators on the way up, which were just buttons that turned on beacons on the way up. And all those actuators had to be hit in order to qualify to hit the final actuator at the top of the mountain. A player could be disqualified for any number of reasons, things like crossing into another player's part of the mountain, hitting someone else's actuators, other than the final actuator where sometimes it happened and they didn't hold it against players. False starts could disqualify you if you finished the climb without lighting up all the actuators and you did not go back down to hit the one you missed. You would also be disqualified. So it's just brutally difficult. And also, like, this is an athletic competition show. These kids have been on set all day. It's already a difficult competition, and the Crag was filmed at the end of a long day of shooting already, and it was the biggest endurance test of the whole thing. It ends with a vertical climb up to the peak of a mountain. I mean, it's only 30 feet, but at the same time, 30 feet after like a 16-hour filming day is a lot to ask of a kid, you know, and it's tough to see. There's stuff flying around. It's hard to see where the actuators are. And, you know, general chaos just made it way more difficult. And again, I know it's not a bonus round. It's just sort of the final event on this show. And it was sort of the big centerpiece. They were constantly bringing it up throughout the whole series. So at any rate, I needed to bring it up. We're not going to watch a clip. Actually, you probably just watched some clips while I was talking about it. So, you know, that's no big deal. We're moving on to number 1. And number 1 is Legends of the Hidden Temple, which ran for 3 seasons from 1993 to 1995. This is one of my all-time favorite TV shows, and I probably have more thoughts about this than almost any other show on TV ever. It was an action-adventure TV game show starring Kirk Fogg as a host and Olmec, a giant talking stone head voiced by Dee Baker, credited as D. Bradley Baker. It's kind of like an Indiana Jones style game show, if that gives you the idea. The whole show was a gauntlet. It was divided into 4 parts: the moat, the steps of knowledge, the temple games, and the temple run, which was the bonus round. Every event would eliminate some teams, and so you would start with 6 teams in the moat, and you would end with 1 team after the temple games that got to go into the temple to retrieve a lost treasure. The objective of the temple run was to get into the temple, retrieve the designated object in the designated room, and bring it back out of the temple through the temple gates within 3 minutes. However, it wasn't just a straightforward kind of mildly difficult thing to do. You had to solve multiple puzzles in different rooms in order to unlock additional doors to make progress through the temple. On top of that, inside the temple were temple guards, 3 temple guards, and these were just the guys who were spotters from earlier in the show, dressed up as Mayan temple guards, which a little problematic. It was the 90s. At any rate, if a player entered a room protected by a temple guard, the temple guard would jump out from backstage, grab the kid, and they would have to give up a pendant of life. I will talk more about the pendants of life in a second. But the Gauntlet, let's talk a little bit more about why this was such a tough show. Nickelodeon would film 40 episodes for a single season over the course of 10 days, which meant they were filming 4 episodes a day. And so that meant that they would record all 4 moats at once, then all 4 steps of knowledge at once, with the temple runs going last. So if you were a winning team, you had to wait through all of the other episodes being filmed to get to the very end to actually go on the temple run. And then by the time you got there, you then had to run a 3-minute ordeal of a race through a series of obstacles. Just understanding what to do in each room was a difficult thing to do. Like each room had its own puzzle and its own objective. And it was very easy to get turned around, go the wrong way, open the wrong door. It was super easy to just find yourself lost a little bit in the temple. On top of that, the pendant of life system was also complicated. In the temple games, you compete for pendants of life. If you win the temple games, you can go to the temple with ideally 2 pendants, or 1.5 pendants, or 1 pendant. If you enter a room with a temple guard, you have to give up a full pendant. If you've given your pendant away already and you enter another room with the temple guard removes you, and then your partner enters the temple. If your partner has a full pendant and they encounter the 3rd temple guard, it's no problem. You just give the pendant away, there's no more temple guards, you can move on. If there's a half pendant on your partner's wrist, they have to locate the missing half pendant in the temple in order to get an extra life if they run into a temple guard. But if you go into the temple with a total of 1 pendant, that means your partner doesn't have one at all, and they don't hide any pieces in the temple. So it's possible that the run can just end if you enter the wrong rooms in the wrong sequence. So that's a big part of the problem. And in some episodes, especially early in season 1 and in season 3, some of the temple layouts were brutal. You know, the temple had a total of 12 or 13 room spaces, depending on the way they had set up the rooms. But easy layouts required you to only solve 6 rooms. There's a couple where you only have to solve 5 in order to get to the object. Medium difficulty, sort of average difficulty layouts required 7 rooms to be unlocked. Hard ones required 8, and at least one brutal layout required 9 rooms out of a possible, in that season, 12 rooms of the temple to be unlocked just to get to the object, and then they had to get back out of the temple. Some specific puzzles were more difficult, some were tougher if you were bigger or smaller, or if you had a harder time just sort of seeing the differences between things. It was just, it could be a really, really difficult time. On top of that, the temple guards were kind of scary. And there were some episodes where a temple guard would jump out, scare a kid, and then the kid would sort of be dreading encountering another temple guard as the run went on. And with the exhaustion from a full day of filming and the pressure of trying to win a grand prize on a show designed to limit itself to only about a 20% win rate, which would be 8 grand prizes per 40 episodes, it's just a tough ordeal. And the fact that it's a 3-minute bonus round and the difficulty is ratcheted up to match the amount of time you get, it's really just, it can be brutal. And there are some absolutely brutal losses. let's watch a temple run. All right, before I start this playback on this episode, I just want to point out these two kids only have one pendant. They won the first two events, which were each worth a half pendant, and then lost the third event. So they won a tiebreaker. Now they have one pendant. All right, now you're primed. Let's put it on.
Let's get in position. Miriam's got her mouthpiece in. Oh, you're in perfect position right there. Let's lower the gate. Let's put 3 minutes on the clock. On your mark. Get set. Go. There she goes up into the temple. Which way is she going? Into the crypt? Will she come out? Oh, get out of here. Oh, door opens and she's heading in the pit of the pendulum. There, she's going to have to swing the rope. Nice swing. Looks back. Oh, she goes down. Which door's open? It's down, heading down, down into the tomb of the headless kings. Temple guard, right when she came in, she has to give up her only pendant. Oh, nice move. She's got all the ropes down. She's looking for the skull. They're pendantless as she heads into the jester's court. 2 minutes, 8 seconds. It's hard to align that body, but you have to get it right. Get all buttons and then move on. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. Gotta get them all one time. There she goes. She got it. Which way is she heading? Forward into the dark forest. No. It's open. The dark forest is open. It's open in the dark forest. She can go. 1 minute, 23 seconds. She's got to make up a little time. Oh, temple guard. It's time for Zach. Zach, take off and move. Go, buddy, go. 1 minute 8. Oh, nice dive. Head first from the tomb of headless kings. Oh, yes, this is the kind of time he needs to make up. Great move. This guy can move. Bust through the wall. He's going up to the shrine of the silver monkey. Which way can he go? He's going up the slide into the room with the secret password. 36 seconds. Say the password. Long live Olmec. Long live Olmec. Does that work? Yes, it worked. He's got the map. All the doors are open. 24 seconds. Come on, Zach.
Come on! Come on!
There he goes.
Come on!
He made that great dive into the pit of the pendulum. No, he just runs right across. He's going to do it. Oh, he did it all. 10, 9, 8. He got it. No problem. He got it. Zach, my man. One pendant. Good job, Miriam. Unbelievable.
That's one of the craziest episodes in the whole run of the show. It's absolutely wild that he manages to make up that much time. It's incredibly lucky that he doesn't run into a third temple guard. You can also tell that Miriam, the first player that went in, was not looking forward to going into the dark forest. Those trees with arms are freaky. I totally understand. This was another thing Legends did very frequently. They would do their best to kind of spook the contestants by just putting temple guards in weird little chambers where it was harder to see them or easier to miss them. You know, they wouldn't necessarily grab you right away. This is a huge win, and it's also one of the wildest episodes in the whole run, where you really can see not only how well this kid managed to get through the temple, but also how hard it was for him to do it. So there you go. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Were there any kids bonus rounds that you could think of that I didn't mention? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, please subscribe to the channel or follow. You might see a follow button instead. Hit that button. It helps a new creator out a lot. You can also check out my Substack. The link is in the description below. It's probably also popping up on your screen right now. So thanks. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.